Hello. Hi there. Um, I wanted to take out my phone and record a quick video where I can get my thoughts out about something that I read this morning. I'd really like to talk about something. So I live in Texas, near Corpus Christi. I'm from the West Coast, but I've been living in Texas for years and years now. Like a lot of my friends know. And I read this morning that Texas, the state of Texas, is going to mandate children in elementary school to start reading the Bible at school. So Texas is going to mandate children at a developmental age. They're going to mandate mandatory Bible reading in school. And I was thinking about that. And, whether kids in elementary school have to read the Bible a little bit every day, whether they have to read the Bible in school or not, I don't really think it's that big of a deal either way. But I was thinking about how everything, and I know this is this is something that a lot of people have touched on. This is very well tread territory, but everything is so political now. Everything has to be symbolically political now, and I feel like, America has always been a very divided country, but I feel like right around the time that Trump started his first term in, I think it was 2016, America has been like really, really, really polarized ever since that. I think Trump kind of split the room. You either had to be really far left or really far right, and now everything has to be a political move. It's gotten to the point where you'll be reading something about whatever, a school shooter, or some guy pulled out, some guy in California recently pulled out a gun, I guess at a library, and he shot, and I think he murdered two people at a library somewhere in California. You read a story like that, and all the comments are like, not all the comments, but maybe half or 1/3 of the comments on every story is like, oh, he must have been a Trump supporter, or oh, he must have been a communist, liberal. And what's funny about that is the story doesn't say anything about the guy's political leanings, but that's the first thing that people have to discuss, is whether he supports Trump or not. And it really has nothing to do with the story, but people just want to talk about that. I think that when I think about children reading the Bible in elementary school, I think about when I was that age, Now I'm 33 now, and when I was in elementary school, do you want to know the things that I cared about? The things that I cared about when I was in elementary school was Pokemon cards and Star Wars action figures. That's what, and collecting stuffed animals. Those were the three things that revolved in my head all day long when I was that age, when I was in elementary school. Those were the things that were important to me. I think these adults need to let a kid be a kid. If a kid has to read the Bible a little bit during school, or a transgender person reads a classroom full of third graders a book and does like a story hour, I don't really think either of those things are that big of a deal, and I don't think they're gonna matter that much to a kid. But I think it gets to a point, everything is so political now that it's almost like it's not enough for grown adults. It's not enough for them to have their political beliefs. They have to, the way that they take it a step further is they start thinking, well, how can we indoctrinate our children? How can we get the next generation reading the Bible? Or how can we get the next generation to think about the existence of trans people, or whatever? It's not enough for a lot of people to have their political beliefs. They have to somehow bring children into it. They have to drag children into this mess that we've created. And, you know, I think about when I was a kid, when I was growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, my father was a pilot. My father owned his own carpet cleaning and upholstery cleaning business. But my dad, for like a hobby, my dad flew airplanes, like for fun. And I remember, I have so many memories of my childhood where my father would try to get me to memorize the different lights on the airplane, or my dad was always trying to teach me about airplanes. And as a kid, I thought it was pretty cool. But then when I reached adulthood, I realized that the things that I really am passionate about are music, guitars, video games, and horror movies. And that's about it. When I reached adulthood, I said, you know what, I'm not really that into airplanes. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm just not. Airplanes are your passion. Airplanes are not my passion. That's just the way it is. I just don't find airplanes that interesting. I think it's fun to go flying sometimes, but it's just not something I'm passionate about. It's not a part of my personality. And so all that work that my dad did to try and get me invested in airplanes as a kid, it didn't really do anything. So basically, to wrap this up, all I'm trying to say is these children are going to grow up and they're going to be who they want to be, and that's a very beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing that people grow up and figure out who they are, and everybody's personality is a little bit different, and there are people who grow up and gravitate towards religion. There are people who grow up and gravitate towards the Bible or some other belief or faith, and that's a beautiful thing. And there are people who gravitate towards politics and ideas like capitalism and communism, socialism, egalitarianism, whatever. The list goes on, but the only thing that's really going to happen if you try and force ideas down children's throats is they might grow up and end up resenting you for it. And that's about all that's going to happen. So yeah, that's it.